Good morning. It's an exciting morning, an exciting week. It's the Chamisha of Shvat. Maybe she could help by the Chamisha of Shvat, who can already be Lechel Mepiriel Lesboyim Metuva. Okay. Someone asked me a question this week. His wife had a stroke, Rahman al-San, this summer. Rushed her to the hospital. And Baruch Hashem, she's 100% good now. This week, she was riding on her bike, past the car. She thought it was parked. She opened quickly the door and she went flying off the bike. The same head got a bang on. She went flying onto the street. She got a bang on her head. No helmet. And Baruch Hashem, I mean, she looks like she got a punch in the eye, but that's it. So now. The Sid gave a kiddush to Shabbos as a Suda Seidor, but he asked about is there any brachas he has to make? Is there anything he has to besides he gave a kiddush? It was very nice. So his wife came, and Baruch Hashem, it's unbelievable. It's takan nes. And the question was, is there any brachas for her to make? So the short answer is like this. There isn't such a short answer. If it was so short, we had nothing to discuss. But there's two brachas potentially to make. One is the bracha on a nes. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher asa l'nes v'makom hazeh. That bracha, and the second bracha of hagomel. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hagomel lechem toves shigmalani called shigmalani toiv.
But the question is only if she will be in the same spot that happened to her.
Right.
That's what you have to say about.
Right. If she would be in that spot. So the Alter Rebbe paskins, and that there has to be in order to make bichas hanes has to be that a person was that their life was navada sakona, like the Eden when they went out of Mitzrayim. It has to be that a lion pounced on a person, a wall fell Rahman al-Islam on a person. Mishnah Brura explains, and I think it's also goes very well in the words of the Alter Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe doesn't say it explicitly. It doesn't have to be that all of a sudden a capsule came down from heaven and he jumped in and he went to the moon, and that's how he was saved from the lion. If someone was standing there with a gun and shot the lion, but his life was navadai sakona, then you make the bichas hanes. And because the bichas hanes is to be mamish sakona, because we learned it from this week's Parsha. The whole bichas hanes we learned, the Gemara says menoni mili. How do we know this? From Yisro, because Yisro, when he comes, he said Baruch Hashem asher hitzel eschem from Mitzrayim, from Pare, Melech kosher, Medina kosher. So we learned it from that. Gav Urcha, Meforshim will ask, how do we learn from Yisro wasn't saved? Yisro's life wasn't saved. So the emes is that there is a discussion if someone is your Rebbe or someone that you love, if you can make a bracha for them. If you love someone very much, could you make a bracha for them? Not for them, but as an excitement. Because a miracle happened to them and you're so excited, could you make this bracha? Huh? Oh, it's very negated. It would, if the person listened and had in mind, especially if he said Amen, it would part the person for making the bracha. So the Gemara has a story about this. Anyway, so you could answer, but the emes is, I think, more glad is that the Gemara really wasn't going into the nitty gritties. No, beseder is beseder gomer, beseder. Limavi betocha ze achitov. So good. Lepoil, the bichas hagomel is any chash sakona. The Alter Rebbe brings the arba tzirichim lahoidus. Doesn't mean only arba tzirichim lahoidus. Anyone that had a chash sakona in their life, they have to make a bracha. So this lady, I can't say her life was navadai sakona. Sakona. No, a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, today they catch it on time. I don't think you can make bichas hanes, but definitely can make bichas hagomel. Definitely make bichas hagomel. Question is, do women make bichas hagomel? So here there is a thing like this. The Magen Avraham says that the women don't have a minhag to make hagomel, and he says why? Because the bichas hagomel is only a reshus. The Pesach Tshuva brings from Halachas Ktanos, it was a Svardi, and he writes a different reason, because hagomel lets to have a minyan. And it's not sneers that the woman should stand in front of 10 men, because the Gemara says, look in the Gemara here. The Isa b'Mesachas Brachas. Haroy Mokum Shenasa B'Nisim. The Gemara Hanan immediately Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mekrov Vayama Yisro Baruch Hashem Asher Hitzel Eschem. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav Arba Tzrichim Loidus. Abai Amar V'Tzorich Leidu Kami Asora. The Ksiv Yeramim B'Kal Hom. Mazut Amar V'Terim B'Nai Rabbanon Tu B'Nai B'Hamon.
Yes, now I have a different show. I've seen more than one time. It's actually women after that or everybody.
The women do.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Oh, so it is done by some people.
Yeah, wait a minute. You'll hear.
Have a baby, no?
Wait a minute. Just a minute.
Baby is for sure.
So Alter Rebbe brings that a hagomel is a chiyuv gomur. You can't say to the shus, and he says you must have 10. And nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe knows about Hilchos Tznius probably a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And the Alter Rebbe writes, "Noshim chayoves bebrocha zu v'lechein kol isha chayoyledes k'shetokem macholyo tevorech v'beis hakneses shel noshim v'yishma asar noshim evnim." That's what the Alter Rebbe passes.
Women,
Yeah, she should stand in the women's section, and the men should answer.
Older women.
Right. So that's the halacha. Now, it happens to be in the newest edition of the Alter Rebbe, the guy writes in the bottom from Shlomo Zalman, Auerbach, that only women that have a baby. Women that have a baby is chayav b'korban. Shlomo Zalman never really said that, and the Alter Rebbe definitely never said it. Look again in the words. Noshim chayav b'bracha zu. Period. Women are chayav to make this bracha hagomel. V'lochein, and therefore, every time a woman has a baby, she should go to the women's section and make a hagomel. 10 people should answer. Alter Rebbe didn't say it's only a woman. If a woman flies over the Atlantic, if a woman is Arba Tzerich Loidus, if a woman's like every woman, Alter Rebbe is just adding.
I've seen after Mincha.
Oh, so the thing is that Shechonah says the minig is to do it in Tam K'nisa Torah because for many reasons. But the main thing is to have 10 people. So the woman the women could come down over here, could come down the steps and stand on the side and make the bracha. But that's what the Alter Rebbe passes. L'poil b'sfardim. I think all Svardim are noyeg. Now Ashkenaz, some are noyeg to make and some not. Some have a minig that they, like a woman had a baby, they bring a minion to the house and they daven maidev, and after maidev or mincha, and after maidev or mincha, the woman comes out and says hagomel. Some have a minig that for tznius, the woman only she goes to shul and she hears Baruch Hu and she has a mind to thank Hashem. That's the popular minig that you know.
The husband cannot make it for her?
The husband could make it for her if he's very excited. But she's not yoitza. She's not yoitza. I can put on film. You're not yoitza. I can put on film twice today. You're still not yoitza. 4 times. You're not yoitza. But if the husband's excited for his wife, he can make the bracha b'shem u'malchus. But she's not yoitza. Unless she's standing in the women's section, and she listens, and she says Omer. Say Omer. But if she's standing and listening, she could be yoitza. You're getting to my pshara. You're getting there.
Usually when the husband says the wife is upstairs and she listens.
So you're getting to my pshara. Rabbi Groner said like this. It's brought in, there is a fellow that comes to daven here, Horowitz. He has an older brother. He was a teacher in Alei Torah. Shmuel Horowitz. He wrote 4 books, beautiful books. As the kids said, all the halachas for.
He was also
both my teachers. But this one who wrote the Sefer was really a terrific teacher, and he was a terrific person. And he wrote this. You can buy this. It's called Shevach Habris, Shevach Hamoedim, Kitzadin Al Yom. 4 small books. It's kedai to buy them. The Kitzad, in the most simple. If you read Hebrew, in the simplest, clear Hebrew, every Yom Tov, a Kitzad of the halachas. I'm just telling you, it's sweeter than for bar mitzvah, for pidyon ben, for this, and it's just very nice. Anyway, he has a sefer for bar mitzvahs, pidyon ben, and he has about a hagomel that Rabbi Groner told him that he asked the Rebbe after his wife had a baby, should he say the bracha hagomel? The Rebbe says to make the bracha. The Rebbe said, ask the Rabbonim of Lubavitch. He asked Rabbi Levitin, was a very choshev of, and he told him, no, we don't make. So he said, but the Alter Rebbe says we make. So he said, don't worry, the Lubavitch and Rabbonim of the previous generation also knew the Alter Rebbe, but L'poil, that's the minik, because it's near that the women don't make. Okay. The Maisa, but the woman is chayiv to make. So what's the eitzah? So one eitzah, the husband is really so truly happy, and he make the brocha. He can make the brocha, she can hear. Or she can ask any man that's making hagomel to have her in mind, and she'll say amen. But then there's a better eitzah. There's a better eitzah. What's the better eitzah? So this summer, my wife, Baruch Hashem, went through something. It was like, went to the hospital. I said, 20 minutes later, you would come on Islam, have no reason to come. So we were very excited that when she recovered, so I said, what are we going to do? You have to say hagomel. So I said, we'll take a transatlantic flight, and then I'll make hagomel because we just flew, and we're going to be on vacation somewhere. So you'll be able to come, and you'll make hagomel at Kachava. So a few weeks ago, my wife went to the doctor because she never lost so much blood. They put in 5 bags of blood. So the doctor said, you never know. It wasn't enough time. We were told you can request blood from the Bikkur Cholim, but there wasn't enough time to request blood. She was losing too much blood. So the doctor said you have to check it. You can have. So this week the results came back as good. So I said to my wife, no, so we have to go again. So we get a phone call next day. Tzedakah things they call you here and there. We won a raffle, 2 tickets to Israel, and a weekend stay in King David Hotel.
Wow! Better me, right? Better me, yeah.
Never knew people won those raffles.
Now, the funny thing is, I said to my wife, "Oh, I bought the ticket." She says, "What? I bought a ticket." Turns out they called both. We both bought a ticket. Each one had a different credit card. Who won? Her ticket won.
Isn't there a smart you have to do?
Now, the Chatchil Dal Rebbe says you should do within 3 days, but if you didn't do within 3 days, you can do it any time.
Listen,
Do
you
it
make
any
a book
time.
if you win a raffle?
Huh?
You make a book if you win a raffle?
That's a separate shot. Not a goyim. That's a but good. So to summarize, the Alter Rebbe holds that women have to make a bracha hagomel anytime their life was in danger, they were saved. The Pearl, the Chabad Minik, and some Ashkenazim, because it's sneeze, don't make it. But definitely, if a woman could figure out a way that she'd be yotzeh from her own husband, it's definitely kedai to do it. Okay, second question. That's this.
Should we go to hear Baruch within 3 days?
No. If within 3 days is only after it's fully recovered, not within 3 days of having the baby. But this meaning of hearing Baruch Hu, I don't know if it's shy to say this thing. If you make mamish the bracha and the poskim say within 3 days, this thing I should go to hear Baruch Hu. She's going to make the bracha hagomel, but for us Chabad they don't. But people that taka, so from when she recovers, she should try to go within 3 days. But sometimes it takes a while to recover. Some have a minhag not to do it at least 7 days, and some 30 days. Some say, listen, until 30 days a woman is... Okay, so I asked the same day, 2 people asked the same question. Funny, sometimes like, same day, a girl called me up. She wants to, she's taking whatever, tests. I forget what they're called. And she wants to know if she could go through in the textbook about evolution, because if she doesn't, she won't answer it well, and she won't get as good as a mark. That night, someone from the shul also, this girl is not young, so I'm not sure what she's doing, but again, the mother texted me this question: could her daughter read in the textbook about evolution in order to get a better mark on a test? I don't know which test, what test? But that was a question. So, but she's a 22-year-old girl, very could be in college, something in college. So good. What's the answer? So first, let's just read quickly in the Rambam. The Rambam writes, Kol machshava shegorim la'lodem ala'akir ikar mikir ha'toira muzarim anu shaloi la'lois alibenu v'lois anasiyach daitenu lakach. Anything that Chas v'sholem could make a person rip out from the foundations of the Torah, you're not allowed to entertain it in his mind. A person can't always understand the full truth. If a person will always go based on how he feels right now, Nimtza machlef es oilam, he'll destroy the world from the smallness of his brain. One day he's going to think, maybe Avodah Zarah is correct, and one thing, maybe there's a God, maybe there isn't. Mala, mata, mala, pone, mala, ocher, pome menavu, sheni, emes, shemaina, pome batoyre, shema min hashemayim, shemaina, ve'eni yedea midas sheyodim, behem at emes al buri, ve'nimtza yoytzel edei minus. So therefore the Eibishter said, you're not allowed to read books or entertain thoughts that bring a person to go against the Neich Hashem Elokecha. Okay. Now the question with evolution is like this. It's a simple question. Is evolution against the Torah or not? So I always thought, yeah. But then I go onto my computer, the Otzach Chochma, my good friend, and I got 92 Svarim, and most of them, journals, a lot of them is like Yeshiva University, all kinds of scholars, they say, no, evolution is not against Amunah B'Boida Oilam. There is G'doi Oilam also that say so. They try to tie it in. However, the two G'doi Yisrael, let's say Baba Maises, it's absolute minus. Moshe Feinstein, Lubavitcher Rebbe. Now, one thing I found that Moshe Feinstein is more machmir than the Rebbe.
Oh, wow.
Finally, I found something.
Wow.
So, the Moshe writes, you're not allowed to teach it in the school, and you have to take in the books that have the evolution, you have to rip it out.
Oof.
Wow.
I found that the Rebbe, but the Rebbe said, oh, you have to realize there's always nuance. You can't say, but there was, in Israel, they have a reshet, Oli Yosevitza, it's Mamlachti Dati. It's a government-sponsored school, like charter school, sort of, and not religious kids are going to learn at the school. This is a school that Rebbe started. There is, maybe they have 50 schools all over Israel. Old school. No, לא ילד וילדה, בשביל ילדים גדולים, בשביל, no, kids that are not religious. that are going.
לא, ילד וילדה זה ליהודים, אבל לא דתי. מכניסים להם גוי, מכניסים גוי לכל כיתה, ואז הממשלה משלמת על הבית ספר.
זהו.
אז זה ילד וילדה, אותו סיפור.
So they asked, no, that's right. That's it.
לא, ילדים ישראלים.
They started years ago. The Reshet started years ago.
שלי היו שם בכיתה א' ב'. הכנסנו אותם אותו בית ספר יהודי, שאתה לא משלם, זה לא ישיבה, אתה לא משלם. מכניסים לך ילד גוי לכל כיתה, וככה הממשלה משלמת. אומרים, זה לא פרייבט סקול, יש לי גוי בתוך בית ספר.
שם זה יהודים.
כן, שם זה בארץ, כן.
וגם יש להם בית ספר, you know, when Rav Steinman passed away, they had at his shivas, it was his son, there was a whole story that they said that the Lubavitch had, where he lived, I think it was in Kfar Saba, they opened up a school, one from the Reshet. And he insisted that not only did he help the Lubavitcher boys recruit, he insisted the boys stay in his house. He was like, he was, you know, you saw it. That's all this nefesh. Anyway, they asked the Rebbe what to do. The Rebbe said, you're not allowed to teach it. Evolution is minus. So, but they should be shumayf and not rip it out of the books. He said, well, as soon as you rip something out of the book, the kids get very curious. What's the forbidden fruit? What's the forbidden fruit? The Rebbe said they should skip the chapter and they should explain the kids like this. We go on a trip, for example. So till we get to the exciting place, we don't stop every place. It was boring. So this is some extra work for the homework, and it's boring stuff anyway. So we're just going to pass.
Very good.
The kids are not going to look at it.
Not interested.
They're answered to other Mace's choice.
Okay, but this I found.
That was concerned about curiosity to the kids.
Yeah. Look at the other things also today, Serifka. But this was the answer that I gave. But anyway, there is a letter. If you want to have to take home the paper, you can look it up. You get his Kodesh Chelik Zayin. In 1953, the Rebbe wrote a landmark paper. He wrote a thing that's 6 pages to a scientist in France who asked him about Amunah if evolution is consistent with Torah. In the beginning, the Rebbe quotes from Gedolei Yisrael who thought there is, and the Rebbe says it was just. He says if you look closely in their words, they didn't really believe it. They were just being apologetic. They were just trying to. Judaism, Rahman al-Aslan, in their time or place were falling apart, and the youth were going away. They were trying to show that there is maybe a room in Torah, but the Rebbe said the bottom line is the Torah says the Eibishter created the world in 6 days. Also, the Eibishter says that in this day there was created the Tzaimeach and this one the Chai, and it doesn't. that it's clear in the Torah that one thing didn't evolve from the other thing.
But isn't it sometimes a day could mean something else? Not
The
necessarily.
Rebbe says it can't mean another thing. Why? Because if it's true that a day means a concept, then Shabbos would be a concept. Because the Eibishter says Kishesh Yomim, so if it was true that a day is a concept, Shabbos would be a concept.
So were they finding all these like fossils and all
So the Rebbe answers all, as I said, it's a very long, at the end, it's a very long paper, and at the end the Rebbe writes, there are several books that were published after Darwin to defunct Darwin. They never became popular, but they were great scientists. And the Rebbe enumerates those books, and that's in English.
You read the book.
Huh?
You obviously read the book.
Yeah.
in science, but I read recently that they're beginning to acknowledge, that they have this theory that the universe expands at a certain pace.
Right.
If you reverse that and you track based on the same speed, then the universe is about 6,000 years old or something. Even they're acknowledging it.
But it's an unbelievable
Based on
letter.
the speed that expands, if you reverse it.
Yeah. And the Rebbe has a few very logical points. One of them is that scientifically, if you make to take it out of a theory, it has to be proven. He said, even though Darwin played around and was with bones and with doves and with horses, he said there was never even the smallest creature in the world that changed from one thing to a total other thing. Maybe different animals or human beings, when they come to different environment, sort of a little bit, it's the color of the eye or a little some change, but from one creature to become a total another creature has never been proven. The Rebbe said, if one day it will be proven, it's still not against the Torah, because part of the Torah, it could have happened, but it didn't happen that way. But it was never proven that such a thing could happen. Anyway, the Rebbe had, as I said, 6 pages. It's an unbelievable letter. It's kedai to look at it if you ever want to look at it. And I wrote here, it's English, Sheilos.
Is it in English? Is it translated in English also?
I wonder. I have to find out. But I would assume yes.
They have Igor Kodesh in English?
Yeah, they have. And they have collection of certain letters. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of them that are translated. There is a collection of letters. I don't know. I'll try to find out. If you remind me, text me, I'll find out for you. Anyway, the Rebbe holds that it's kfira, therefore it's a shame. It hurts the heart to answer, because then they're going to have to, then they're not going to get as good as a mark. I mean, the truth is, you can guess. Sometimes, if you're smart enough, you say, but if you don't read it, you might not know exactly what to answer, and you're going to suffer. But listen,
that was the Ramban.
If you don't work your Shabbos, you also lose a little bit of business.
Not really.
But that's not
Yesterday, not really.
Not really, but the truth is
That's the emunah.
that's same thing here.
The Rebbe
It's
says
the same thing here.
if you work on Shabbos, the money goes for doctors.
Okay, it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
You get 100 on the test, but then
Tickets, fines.
Isn't there a metric so by the jar of water they turn into monkeys?
No bracha from the money.
So there is maybe a concept of switching species.
right. So there is a medrash that says that would turn to Gemara. The Gemara with Sanhedrin. Yeah. So okay. But then the Rebbe is talking scientifically. Now, if you believe in Chazal, that the Rebbe says that the bottom line is because that's what the Torah tells us happened. And on the side, the Rebbe argued scientifically, it was never proven that one thing could change to another thing.
What let me ask you, isn't that the Medrash after them the Mabel when they tried to build towers?
Right, that's what he says, that they were turned into monkeys.
And elephants.
Right. It says monkeys.
reverse
Right, that's what we show on Rabbi is. Right. But that's because Chazal tell it to us. But the Rebbe was arguing, you're telling me scientifically that things change, but the Rebbe says it was never one, even the smallest creature, that changed from one thing to a different thing.
Naturally.
So anyway, that's the Rebbe holds evolution is minus, and the Moshe holds the same thing. But I found finally one thing with the Moshe's machmir. Okay, look, third question, which is the main question. This is a question that was asked several times, but recently I was learning the thing they have in Chabad, this thing learning with the kids Sefer HaMitzvahs. They have unbelievable books from Tzivos Hashem. Unbelievable books. Unbelievable. Called Yadus. Unbelievable. It's just revolutionary. And you learn it with the kids. My kids are all chidon.
They'll all still pass the test over?
One by one. Everyone's a chidon. That means I'm learning the Sefer HaMitzvahs more than once. So that we were learning, and this is she's a 10-year-old, but we were learning, and now some of the mitzvahs are the basic mitzvahs, like Avodah Zarah and things. And there is a mitzvah, which is the end of this week's Parsha. She had a ton of questions all of a sudden. Tati, I'm allowed to make a picture of a sun. I'm allowed to make a picture of a moon. In school we have textbooks. They have pictures of sun and moon. Is it mutter? She had a ton of questions. So I figured let's use this question as our third question for today. Sculptures, paintings, photographs. There is a special mitzvah at the end of this parsha. It says, Loi sasun iti. Elokei keser elokei zov loi tasun lochem. So the sentence doesn't go. Loi sasun iti elokei keser elokei zov. Then it says loi tasun lochem. So Chazal say there's two halves of the pasuk. Loi sasu iti. Period. You're not allowed to make a thing called iti. And that's one of the Taryag mitzvahs that's counted as a fourth mitzvah in the Rambam.
What's
as
iti?
Counted. Oh, who is iti? What's iti? Who is iti? Mr. Iti. Who is iti? So, exactly. Exactly. That's it.
אתה לא מכיר אותו? אתה לא עושה איתו כלום עם איתי.
לא יססו iti. So what's the problem with iti? So, it's a special mitzvah that shall not be confused, according to many Rishonim, with Avodah Zarah. It's a separate mitzvah. It's not that it's Avodah Zarah. Nothing to do with Avodah Zarah. The Eibishter gave a certain mitzvah. So you're not allowed to make iti. Who is iti? So the Gemara says, anything that's in the sky, the sun and the moon, the angels, the Merkava El Yoina, the heavenly chariot, things that are in the Beis HaMikdash, and also the human image, because the Eibishter, when he reveals himself to the Navi, he reveals himself to Musa Kised Mus Kamare Odom. So because the Eibishter obviously couldn't say Lo Yasas on Iti, he should make an image of Hashem, because Ein Lo Musa Guf. So if a person would make that, would just be nuts.
Nobody knows how Hashem.
So he doesn't look. Ein Lo Musa Guf, Ein Lo Guf.
So wait, let me ask you, how did Chabad push a few like?
You have his pictures.
No, the coin, the metal, congressional
And
metal.
painting, people made paintings and gave it to the Rabbi. I saw
That's
myself
why we have to deal with it.
By Fabring, I saw that.
Right, that's why we have a Sheilos. And the Lubavitch is the ones that pushed today. That's very popular of Gedolim pictures. Who pushed it? Lubavitch. So I mean, what's going on? It's also. So let's start with the Yisro, and then we'll. We have to have first the question, then we'll know the answer.
Vision, see what a vision say with your camera phone, they'll smash it on the spot.
Oh yeah.
Smash your phone.
Some Gedolim Yisro were very against it. You know that we don't have a picture of the Mittel ever. It's not that no one ever tried to. There were artists that would have.
What?
It is a gewaldige
הרבה
Sache.
מכשירים עליו, הוא לא יודע קורא, זה מכשיר מצפצף.
So let's look at the last paragraph. Kosav Rambam also lasas tzudas l'noy. You're not allowed to make any tzuda. Sculpture, painting, photographs. You're not allowed to make anything. Afal pisha eina avodah zarah. Shenema loy tasu iti. You're not allowed to make iti. Koloy metzura shel kesav azov she'eina melal l'noy. Even though it's made for beauty, it's not made for avodah zarah. Kedei shelo yitam ematoyim. Why did the Eibishter make this mitzvah? Because he didn't want people should ever make a mistake. And they'll think it's Avodah Zarah. I underline these words because it's remarkable. The Rambam usually doesn't say reason for halachas, but here he does tell us the human image. It's only if it's 3D, if it's boilet, it's going out. If it's something which is not a traklin, like with images sticking out, turn the page. If it was an impression, but if it was painted with paint and it's flat, if it was a painting, or if it was weaving, that's mutter. Then the Rambam continues. Also, lotza the muskama lavona kachavim azolas malachim shenamal loy tasu iter loy tas the musa keshmoshe am shamshin lafona b'morim afila laluchas. Even if it's flat, you're not allowed to do it. But tzuras behema v'shor nefesh chaya chutz min adam v'tzuras ilonas l'shoyim mutter lotza reis mafilo is atzura baletis. So the Rambam has three categories. That if you're talking about things that are in the sky, the Merkava, the Malachim, you're not allowed to paint it even if it's flat. A human being, if it's a sculpture, if it's 3D, it's also. If it's flat, it's mutter. And if it's a cow, if it's grass, a tree, it's mutter even if it's a sculpture. That's what the Rambam holds. So the Rabbi asks...
Animals, sculptures, mutter.
Yeah, it has to be an animal that's... this is complicated, which animals.
So
Because some of the animals
gold,
are part of the 12 mazolos. So it could be...
So if you make a cow out of gold, it's not a problem?
Yeah, if it's there as a sculpture, not as a Vaidazorah. As a pure sculpture. Like if you go to Buffalo, a place they have, as they get close to the highway, they have...
Wall Street, the big bull.
Oh, the Wall Street, the big bull, right, exactly.
See what happened to the
So
egg?
Wall Street, the big bull, is, according to the Rambam, is hagomel, because they have no intention of Vaidazorah. It's just their
Oh,
Lanoi.
yeah, there's the money, not the
זה
gold.
מהעגל הזהב, זה מה זה
Exactly.
משהו
That's really...
זה בדיוק העגל הזהב, מה זה?
זה העגל
זה
הזהב.
העגל הזהב של האמריקאים, מה זה?
שמשתחרר.
אז איך מותג?
To break it physically is not going to help. That egel has to be broken in here. That Ivan asks a simple question. This is one mitzvah. Lo yisas on iti. So, how did you make all of a sudden? What? Either you're in the Yisro or you're out. There could be two rules. Whatever is also there is mutter is mutter. Where did you get this thing that the things in the sky, even if it's flat, you're not allowed to paint? The sun, the moon, the angels, you're not allowed. But a human face, you're allowed to. Hello, it's the same pasuk. Who told you there's anything different? So the Mefarshim squeeze it out of the Gemara, but then they have a beautiful svara to explain it. The Tosfos says, because it all goes to the eye. When you look up in the sky, you don't see 3D. Unless you go you go to an IMAX. You don't see 3D. You see everything flat. So therefore, it's, when the Eibusha says, Lo tasoniti, he meant what you see. So you're not allowed to make even a flat painting of the sun or the moon or the angels. But a human being, you never see a human being flat. You see him...
Yeah, but I mean, they give angels a human form. Angels are depicted in a human form.
But still, as long as you're trying to depict angels, you're not allowed to do it even if it's a flat picture. But the Rambam holds if it's a human being, it's different. Because human beings, you see them 3D, 4D. So therefore you can only also, if you make it as a sculpture, or you make it that there's an impression and it sticks out. But if you're just making it a painting, according to the Rambam, it's mutter. Because he said that it all goes the way your eye catches it. Shulchan Aruch paskins l'kula, like the Rambam. Look in the Shulchan Aruch.
So example, like like Mount Rushmore, where they actually chisel out the mountain to make that would be a mountain. It's not chiseled out.
It's chiseled out. That would be osur, but there is another reason to be makel for Mount Rushmore. I'm going to put together the three main kulas here. Is that the Rambam holds that if it's a human being, you're not allowed to make a sculpture, but you're allowed to make a painting. There is, the Shulchan Aruch says, if you're not making it complete, the head without the body, a bust is mutter. That a bust is mutter. A bust is mutter. And the third thing, kula, is that lihislamed, if you're doing it to teach. The Gemara has a story of Gamliel, that Gamliel had in his house, in the attic, he had all the images of what the moon could look like. He had a ton of them, and the prophet, when the Adam would come, and they would say, we saw the birth of the new moon, he'd say, come upstairs. It looked like this, it looked like... What did it look like?
What's that? So the Lincoln Memorial, where he's sitting in a big chair, that's also to go there even?
Oh, so that is also for you to make, or maybe even also for you to own. But to say it's also to go there, I saw there's a tshuva from Reb Sternbach, tshuva Zanogi, says, yeah, but he says that in Midas Chasidus. Why would it be also? It's not avodah zarah. You're not looking at avodah zarah. It's also, the goy doesn't have the Yisro to make it. The goy doesn't have the Yisro to make it. And the Gemara says that if a Jew bought it from a goy, it's only also to have it if there could be a chshad that the Yid is trying to serve avodah zarah. The Gemara says a story that, but to go see it, it's not avodah zarah. It's not like going to look at a avodah zarah. It's not like entering a church. It's a different. That's why I want to clarify. This is not an Yisro of avodah zarah. The Eibusha said lo tasu iti. So let's read.
It's an idea of what that's an idea.
Let's read the Shulchan Aruch.
No, the picture.
Huh?
Shamoshi Minister.
The
Are you
picture,
allowed to reprint a picture?
not allowed to. Not allowed to. So that's a big problem. The only kula that there is over here is l'islam, which is textbooks where the kids are learning, the Parsha learning. Also, when little kids are making pictures, I think it's a different thing. Kids are not making exact pictures. There's no perfect moon, no perfect sun.
It's not perfect, it's okay.
Yeah, I would say, because it's not really the sun and the moon. It's a
But
caricature.
But
It's a
3D is
Avada also. That's no shaila. Even flat. Sun and the moon is also even if it's flat. The only kula for the sun and the moon would be if it's lislama, to learn. Like Rabbi Gamliel, who in order to learn and to teach what the moon and which position it would look, where it would look, when it would look,
how they rotate the axis, all that.
everything, he had pictures of all it, and he had it painted, or he had it installed on the wall in his house, and he would say what it looked like this, it looked
Yeah, but he has a good reason. He had good reason to do
Islam.
that.
To teach.
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 ללימודים זה מותר.
When the Edim come,
He has all these images.
Right. So that's the
כשילד קטן מצייר סתם ציור בית עם עצים ומצייר את השמש למעלה.
זה לא שמש.
לא, אני אומר, סתם דוגמה, הוא מצייר עיגול עם צהוב.
כן.
בשבילו זה שמש.
זה לא שמש.
למה?
אבל הילד יודע שזה לא שמש. זה child's play.
אוקיי.
So a person shouldn't have in his home a picture that says like the sunset or something like that, because that is not the Islam, it's just for niceness. That's what you say?
Yeah. It's a little harsh, but yeah.
But people do have it.
You know that's
Screensavers.
Right. I hear. It's all this is. I'm last night when I'm learning it, I couldn't believe it. It's like
Very intense.
it's intense. It's very very intense.
What about the pictures
Today we're
like
very
online?
making.
Taking a picture that's already, I mean,
But they're talking about the sun and the moon. There's more.
the sun and
Right.
the moon.
So let's learn it inside the Shulchan Aruch and then to go through the three kulas.
I saw once that they made a Tzivus Hashem logo.
Yeah.
At the beginning they put the stars.
There was a whole story.
It was not the real stars. It was like
Can I
shaped
tell you what
stars
happened?
of the sun.
You know what
And the Rebbe
happened?
said, and the Rebbe said,
Can I tell you what happened in that story when they did that? The Rebbe sent in the middle of the night. I think Rajik, the one who passed away, Yisro, and another guy, to go at night to litigate in the Queen's one who made the emblem. And told
Schwartz.
him that it looks like the Japanese flag, which is a problem. And in the middle of the night, they changed it in the middle of the night, and they brought it back to the Rebbe.
And they didn't want to insult him, so they told him.
Whatever. I was telling you that. I know, it's a Chabad. I know. Yeah. The
Okay.
same night, they never had it changed.
So you see that Rebbe was makbid on it.
Yeah.
okay, but the stars were depicted with like
Yeah,
a star,
that's
like
what
you make a
it is.
star, not the real picture exactly with a beautiful. Was even something that was not.
No,
Right.
but I always said it's like the Japanese flag. That's what I remember.
Interesting.
I saw both pictures. The picture is the original and the.
It was literally for less than a
White
night.
and red dot?
No, 3 o'clock in the
I have
morning.
no idea what the
Out.
Japanese flag looks
The
like.
Japanese flag is white and
Huh?
red dot.
Photograph.
No, the rising sun.
I'll take a nice picture
It's
here.
like
Right.
sun with red. Well, let me ask you about the American flag of stars, with 50 stars on the American flag.
Right.
No one asked her
זה לא אמיתי. גם הם לא אמיתיים. גם הסטאר של האמריקאים זה לא אמיתי.
Let's read quickly the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch in Yeridei, Dalet says, also l'tzayir tzura shebemod hashchina. And I want to make pictures of the Shechina. Kagon, for example, Dalet ponim b'adei, any 4 faces, if you're trying to depict the Merkava. Achein tzuras serafim, vayfanim, malachei shoras, tzuras adam lavada, kolel also last afilam, even if it's for beauty. If a goy made it, that he serves Avodah Zarah, also l'shet not allowed to keep it because he might have made it for Avodah Zarah. Miu motzah isomotarim. If you found that you don't have to assume that it's for Avodah Zarah, you're allowed to keep it. Ba'achama, melvat chama lavona shederech, et chama lavda sheyesh also lavda shechol atzlamen. Unless it's the sun and the moon, or you know for sure that this is Avodah Zarah, then Avodah Zarah is awesome. That's if it's sticking out. If it's like a sculpture, if it's an impression, it's stuck into the wall. Or if it's flat, it's mutter. However, also bein boiled as bein shekes. A human being, it's passing like the Rambam. The human being is also only 3D, but if it's flat, it's mutter. But the things in the sky is also even if it's flat. Remember the Islam, if it's you want to learn. Lahavin, to understand, lahoidis, to teach, mutoris, afila boiltas. V'yesh matirim b'shel Rabbim like chshad. Some say if it belongs to the Rabbim, then there's no chshad that it's avodah zarah, like Mount Rushmore or Mr. Lincoln, because it belongs to the Rabbim, so there's no chshad. They know it's not for avodah zarah. Tabas sheyesh al choisem. Let's skip the tabas sheyesh al choisem, which is let's just read it quickly. Tabas sheyesh al choisem, a tabas that has that they would slap it into the hot wax. Sheyesh al tzura choisem shetzuras adam ima tzura baletas also lanicha muta lachdam ba. You're allowed to sign in it because it's only going to stick in. It's not going to stick out. But you're not allowed to wear it. Ima tzura shekas it's faket muta lanicha also lachdam amnei shenechtam also tzura baletas.
You have to own it?
Huh? He has to ruin it.
No, not to wear it, but to own it.
So it depends. If it was given to him, it's mashma that he's allowed to own it. Yes, because it's only also to make it. But if it was given to him by a goy, it's mutter.
Is there a heter to see the statue of David in Florence? It looks like David could walk off the pedestal.
Yeah, it's mutter. 100% mutter because you don't own it. It's not about the zora. Udim b'sharat sudas asudas. Sudas behemoth chaya oifas dogim. Ilonas the shayim mutter lot zarazim. Afilo yatzura baletas. V'yesh misham shaloi also b'tzuras adam adirokam el atzuras shalema. Mechole v'real. Tzuras a roish a guf b'lo roish. If it's just the head, the bust, or the body without the head, ein ba'isar loy b'moitza v'loy b'yoysa. It's not asur, and if you make it, you're allowed to make it, and if you find it, you're allowed to keep it. V'chein noegim, that's the meaning. So there's three kulas here. A picture of a person that's flat, painting, and a picture of a person that's flat. If it's lislamet, to learn. And the third is if it's a head without the body, or the body without the head. Okay, now let's go through each one of these kulas. Each one of these kulas have problems with them. The first kula is if it's a flat picture of a person. Well, many Gdolei Yisrael didn't accept it. As you saw before from the Rabbi didn't accept it, the Rambam didn't accept it, the Tur didn't accept it, and the Taz and Shulchan Aruch says that you shouldn't be makel. And Lepoil, a lot of Gdolei Yisrael were machmer. This brought the story that Chacham Tzvi came to London, and the Yavitz writes Anash went to greet him. Anash, I think Anash is a term that started, Mechzidim years ago. Anash went to meet him and greet him. And they're ahuvei nafshe, and they love us, and they support us. These were wealthy Sfardim in London. And they begged him, they want to take a picture of him because he was there for a short time. They wanted to have a picture of the Chacham Tzvi when he leaves London. They wanted to have it, to hang it up in their homes. The shum oif, and he didn't let. And then they tricked him, and and they had a picture of him.
Whoa.
But they took it without his permission.
This is Shabtai Tzvi?
Chas v'sholom. This was the biggest guy against the Shabtai Tzvi. Chacham Tzvi.
Chacham Tzvi, oh.
Don't confuse these two.
Okay.
This is opponent number one of the Shabtai Tzvi. Shabs, a little later, but anyone that might have gotten close to being the Chacham Tzvi was. So there were many. There's everyone quotes there's a Yadas Dvash, Rabbi Yochanan Eifshitz in the second Drush. Chelak Aleph says that if you look in a mirror, if you need to, but if you look stamazay to look, or pictures, that there's a koyach atuma that goes into the picture of a person. That's why there were big tzaddikim that because they believed that Kabbalah, there's a picture of you anywhere in the world, that there's a certain tumah that could go into the picture. Based on something, the Zohar doesn't say it mamish. So
how children will learn how the Rebbe was, how the other. You have to see the image. You have to learn.
There were other Gdolei Yisrael that held the opposite. First of all, they paskin the halacha like the Rambam. They said if it's flat, if it's not a sculpture, it's a human face. If it's flat, it's mutter. Others said that even the Ramban that said is also it was a painting, but a photograph which is flat, mamish, a photograph is mutter. Even if you say it's mutter, you can't get away with the fact that some people have this mystical thing against pictures. Gdolei Yisrael didn't allow the sheikh. We know that Rebbe was against pictures in the early years. We have no pictures of the Mittel Rebbe. There's a reason there's no. The Alter Rebbe. They have the Rabbi Merash. We don't know if we have it. We don't have a picture. But obviously it wasn't. So there is a picture. There isn't. But Mittel Rebbe, there is no picture. The Gdolei Yisrael, there were some of them that were very Ada Yom Hazeh Yidden that are against pictures. It comes from the pasuk where Satan meeting. If you paskin that like the Raiva that Anban the Tur is there is a problem here. So the others paskin that it's mutter. Why shouldn't you be machmer? You know, if we go into the butcher shop, we buy the best hechsher, glad kosher, and everything. We're machmer. Why would we be make on this? So there's a reason for it, and it was just mentioned here before. But there's a collection of G'dol Yisrael who had a very different feeling about this. They said the Gemara says a story about Rabbi. He said if I saw the mayor, if I saw him from his face, I would have known much better. If you learn Torah and you see there's one of the G'dol Yisrael who printed a bio on the Marsov. He said you should try to get a picture. And when you look at the picture, you should imagine when you're learning his Torah as if his lips are moving. And there's a lot of G'dol Yisrael that said that you should have basically and there are G'dol Yisrael that printed Sfarim and they put pictures of the Mechaber and the Sefer in the beginning of the Sefer. There were big G'dol Yisrael. There were pictures there's a picture of Rameh Panu. This is a few hundred years. And there were G'dol Yisrael that wrote, there's a Chuvas, the Divrei Yosef Irgis, he writes, he said, in Mantuva you could find a picture, and he couldn't take copies. He said, if you want to see a picture that the Kodesh Rameh Panu was a big Mekubu, you go to Mantuva over here in this museum, you'll find, this is where you're going to find the picture. And they said that it's an unbelievable Tayelis, because when you see the tzaddik in his face, and then especially if you're learning, and you can imagine him, so then your mind and open up, and you bring the whole story that's brought from Socrates. That he said that if he looks at his Rebbe, that he starts understanding everything better. So it's even Goyim Chachamim had this thing. Bottom line is that we find the stories. I mean, they say Yosef Tzaddik. How was he saved? Because the Musta Yochna Shalaviv that he saw the image of his father, and the Rebbe today in Eretz Yisrael, the Vishnitz Rebbe, the popular Vishnitz Rebbe, what's the one that has the bigger following, Rabbi Yisrael. So he's an unbelievable story. He says it's with he says it's a Vishnitz Chosim. He told the story before he became an Rebbe. He told the story, several unbelievable stories. He was in Argentina. He was a wealthy man. He was sick. He was in the hospital. But so one of the nurses, there was a little bit of a thing that clicked between him and one of the nurses, and the ready in his mind was that when he after his discharge, he's going straight to her house, and take it from there. Kids, because he was in the hospital, he gets a phone call. He gets a phone call from the Rebbe secretary, Rebbe Chadakov. He gets a secretary. This is it. And the Rebbe gave him a bruch. He should have it for Shleima. He should go straight home. He doesn't have to say that. He should go straight home.
Don't stop.
Yeah. And so the Vision Rebbe told the story. He tells it. I'm ruining a story of a half hour. He says, Chazal say, Musti Yochna She'oviv Niraloi B'chaloin, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe was Musti Yochna She'oviv Niraloi B'telephone.
Sorry to change with hologram. Now they're making 3D that it looks like the whole person is singing there. You know,
so
that sounds like
that's awesome. This is talking about. But anyway, this is Taka. The Rebbe was very against pictures. We know in the early years, and then the Rebbe something changed. The Rebbe that was it. The Rebbe allowed to take pictures of him. He didn't allow that Chassidim should take pictures of him. That he didn't. The Rebbe didn't. The Rebbe was stories. The Rebbe was very upset. A bacher that was caught with a camera around the Rebbe was bad news.
But he never said pictures of Chassidus and things like that.
But the Rebbe never said exactly, and the Rebbe allowed. Okay, so
it happened to me once.
Yeah.
I have a camera and I'm taking pictures of Rebbe. Rebbe comes over to me and says, "Did you do chitas?"
It happened to you?
I'm telling you, it happened to me.
When was it? A Fabrengen?
Yeah, it was after Fabrengen. Yeah, after the Fabrengen. I just have to say that there's a raya for this in the Gemara.
Yeah.
On Brachas Chaf.
Rabbi Yochanan.
Yeah.
He said the women should look at
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So let's say he had a picture. He said, "Oh, take my picture and look at it." But he learned that from Yaakov.
Right,
And
right.
he
Very
puts
good.
Rabbi, they
Right,
have,
very good. Very good raya. Very good raya.
They have museum on Shava, weeks.
Yeah.
They take, and they put some rabbis there.
Right.
Are you allowed to look at this?
You're allowed to look at it, but the Chuvas Van Hogus, Rav Sternbach holds that you shouldn't go to such a museum.
It's a limud. You see things that happen.
I'm just telling you, he doesn't. I don't feel that he means it as a halacha mamish that's binding, or even that's his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion, but it's not avodah zor.
So you can't go to a wax museum, in other words.
No, I think you could go to the wax museum,
You can't make
but
wax.
but don't. You're not allowed to make it. You're not allowed to make it. But it's not avodah zor.
You mentioned before the Rebbe Marash, there was one story that Rebbe says, I heard a few times that the Rebbe used to cry whenever he said it. He said there was a chassid that came to figure out the Yechidus, and he walked in and he fainted. And when he walked in, he said, because he looked at the Rebbe, saw the exact image of the Rebbe Marash.
Right.
When the Rebbe said the story, he used to cry.
Yeah, the Rebbe told the story of this many times. I don't know why. So the Rebbe, the story was very.
He used to get very emotional
Yeah.
when he said it.
Interessant as a. Bottom line is, the Artak, if a Yid holds that it's also to take a picture of himself, I think it's a double Parsha that it's chutzpah to go take a picture of that person. You should respect the rights of the person. It's not crazy if a person says, I don't want you to take a picture of me. On the other hand, those that are using pictures for a purpose that you see that Chabad started, the whole belt. So this helps the Eibishter. If someone argues against the Gedolim pictures, today no one argues against it. But just in case someone's going to argue, so you tell them in this neighborhood, you see this? It's a picture with him and his wife. Picture of him and his wife.
On the wall.
Picture of who?
Can't see.
Hang on.
Picture of who?
Alter Rebbe?
Picture of the Alter Rebbe.
Wow.
Wait, hang on. Say
So
that?
Avremel Fishman found this picture and he sent it around.
It's in his house.
Yeah, so he come in about Avram Fuchtan and said, Chabad is doctoring pictures. So Fishman said, it's nicht gefoiled. He called Rav Hutner's daughter in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know if he called himself, he got someone. And she said, what are you talking about? Sure. My father had in the dining room a picture of the Alter Rebbe. What are you talking about?
What did he say?
Rabbi Hutner's daughter said, it's true. My father had a picture in the dining room of the Alter Rebbe. What are you talking about?
Please send me that picture. After the share.
He doesn't have a building.
What year?
This I'll show you in a second. This, I don't know. Ask Fishman. Bottom line, pictures is one thing. Second thing is Lislamed is mutter. Now, the head without the body and the body without the head is, the Rashach says that the Smag holds you should not allowed to even have a bust, and a machmet oval and brocha. Dolls, there's a beautiful long tshuva from Rabbi Vadia Yosef and Brocha. He says it's mutter for many reasons. He says it's a game, and dolls are mutter. So my Zayda was at my house. My Zayda was Yortzeit last week. But when he was in my house a few years ago, he had a problem because he saw a few little menchies. So some of them are bust. So now I realize that the Shach holds that you should not even those. But he had a problem with this little menchie. So I took it away, and I put it away. I said, my Zayda said, wow. He pointed to my Zayda, was very upset. Okay, fine. I took it away, put it in my office. I said, I'll be ma'ayin if my Zayd is right. Then I see, tak, it's true. It's a human being, and it's 3D. And it's from the head to the toe, so there's no reason to be megal.
He's missing his toes.
So Taka is missing it. But because I put him away, so he lost a toe. I don't know, that it's a roish below goof, a goof below roish.
He also has no hands, Doctor, no?
No, hands he has.
Maybe
Got
someone
it.
chopped his
Down
nose
hands.
a bissel.
How many
That I put him away. That's why he has to be a roish below goof, a goof below roish.
How did he lose
Making a
toes?
boom on it.
If you put him in your office, how did he lose toes?
No, because I put him, he fell down. So the Mela,
You got a nose job.
because I want to tell my Zayda that he was right and I was wrong. The taka, this thing is it's 3D and it's a whole thing. So Mela, I decided that if I go